Well, first of all, the great thing about being a journalist, not a PR person, is that I don't have to have the answers. I only need to be able to raise the interesting questions. Having said that, it's pretty obvious to me that what companies need today is the ability to balance global strategy and local execution, the ability to set the values and principles that will underpin their reputation, and to create a sort of global corporate narrative that explains who they are and why they are at the global level in a very centralized way, but then to be able to make that relevant to people. They need to communicate on a local basis, and that requires an incredible degree of intimacy today with the audience that you're talking to. And the point that was made this morning in the debate about that not just being on a national level or a regional level, but a city level, I mean, it's almost on an individual level. You have to, if you're going to build relationships, get to know people, not populations. And you need to be able to engage with them in a way that is relevant to them personally. So the closer you are to your audience, the better. And that clearly requires a huge amount of local expertise. And so the best companies are going to find the right people for both of those jobs, and the best agencies are going to be able to balance both of those things, the global perspective and the ability to set strategy with the ability to execute locally in an incredibly efficient way. I think it is very difficult for any agency to do everything great everywhere. So even if you're a great agency, you're going to have one or two offices that aren't so good. You're going to have one or two practice areas that aren't so good. Does that mean you can't be a global agency? I don't think it necessarily does, but I think you have to rethink what a global agency means. And I don't think the answer is to be able to do everything for every client all over the world. I think the answer is to be able to provide a global perspective. But I think the focus should be more on the strategic than on the executional. And then I think the focus should be on having as many great local offices as you can. It's almost as if I'm saying, and I think I am, you can't build a great global agency. What you can do is try to build great local agencies that will work together. And will you ever get it 100% right? Probably not. Is that a reason to stop trying? No, I don't think it is. I think that the issue then becomes, do the issues that you're raising rise to the level of global values? So, for example, to use the two examples that we've been talking about, do I believe that gender equality ought to be a global value? Yes, I do. I think that most companies, if they believe genuinely in equality, then that ought to be the policy everywhere in the world. They ought to be providing opportunities for women, for minorities, for gays and lesbians, whatever the group is, globally. And that's a principle and a value that ought to be the same everywhere. Partly because even if it's not an important value in the local market, it's an important value to your consumers back home. And so if you're telling your American consumers that you believe in equality, that has to be a policy all over the world, as far as the law allows. Smoking is a different issue. I think there you can say to yourself, do we believe that it is important for all of our cafes all over the world to be healthy, or all of our premises all over the world to be healthy? In which case, yes, we're going to ban smoking even in countries where it's allowed. Or do you say this is a matter of individual freedom, and we're going to, unless we're forced to, we're going to allow people their freedom? So then you're deciding, is my greatest corporate value health, or is my greatest corporate value freedom? And once you've made that decision, you implement the policy, and you can implement it locally. But I think you have to decide what are the things that are important to the company globally, that it has to stand for universally. And equality seems to me to be one of those things. I don't have the statistics, but thinking about it, I think it's probably very even. Obviously, the big global agencies, I mean, Weber Shandwick will send in 60 or 70 entries from around the world. And if you look at our winners, I think it's probably a very good balance between global agencies and local agencies. And I think it comes back to what we were saying earlier, that it's actually all about the people. And whether you're a big global agency or a little local agency, the account team is sort of the same size. I mean, it's 4 or 5 people working on a particular project. And are those people doing great work? And the answer is that there are as many of those people working for small agencies as there are working for giant multinationals, and yeah, they're doing great work. And so, you know, we've had our EMEA SABRE Award. It's been won by Fleischmann Hillard and Weber Shandwick, but it's also been won by a 10-person agency in Romania. There's great work everywhere. Okay, this is a huge question, and now I don't know how to answer it quickly, except to say that I'm not sure I believe in PR education. I think that PR people should be educated in business, and I think that business people should be educated in public relations. In other words, I think I've never heard anybody say my PR people don't understand the media. I've had a lot of people say my PR people don't understand how business really works. So what's the implication of that? I think the implication is that public relations education needs to be part of a broader business curriculum. I don't think it should be taught in journalism schools. I'm not even sure I think it should be taught in communication schools. I think it should be taught in business schools. And I think if you do that, PR people will be better at business, and the people that they work for, CEOs and CFOs who have MBAs, will at least have some understanding of why public relations is important to their job. So I think it's very important to move PR into a business school environment.